Well, thanks for joining us today. We have another episode of Empower Her. I'm Cynthia Day.
And I'm Maria Day.
And together we own and operate a luxury residential and commercial real estate company called Trusted Results Realty Group. We are currently in the state of Texas as well as the state of Florida. Go to our Facebook page for Empower Her, and you'll be able to find all of our guest stars, past episodes.
Just join us in the conversation.
Join us in the conversation and find all of your solutions for today's challenges as well as resources for the things that you're trying to accomplish in life. So, in today's episode, we are going to be discussing women, because we are rocking some brown girl magic today with the three beautiful women that you see here. And we have none other than Miss Camille Lee.
Yay. Welcome to the show, Miss Camille.
Thank you. So Camille is going to educate and inform us and bring some awareness to women and fashion. So please, explain your company and,
Sure. Thank you so much for having me here. It's run and operates WearEmOutTees, and it is a business focused specifically on circular fashion. And we focus solely on circularity in fashion for t-shirts only. And I think what people first hear when they hear that term circular fashion is, okay, what is that? Right. So what we know is linear fashion is someone has an idea. I always think about Project Runway, if you've ever seen that show. I loved that show. I loved watching that show. So you have an idea, you have a concept. I want to make a shirt. Okay, great. And so you have a person who comes up with an idea, they create it, they design it, and then there's someone who finds a pattern, writes the pattern. Then there's a person who cuts, chooses the fabric, cuts it out, shapes it, sews it, and then
like an assembly line.
Yeah, and then it's just process. And then they sell it to a store near you, right? Your favorite store. And so what happens is once it goes into the store, if it's not something that sells off the shelves, or if it's something that they sell a lot of, but then there's a couple sizes that didn't sell out, maybe there's a couple sizes that didn't sell, well, a storefront is not going to keep empty shelves. What they're going to do is they're going to move that inventory off, and they're going to bring in the next thing so that people can go shop and, have the feeling that, oh, there's a huge selection. But what we don't realize is that what happens to that shirt or that wardrobe item is that once it goes out of retail, it may go to secondhand shops, thrift shops, consignment shops, if there's a relationship or a partnership there. And then once it doesn't sell in your local thrift shop, your local resale shop, then it goes into, chances are it's going to actually just end up in a landfill. It's a very bizarre story. It either ends up in the landfills or it ends up in another country, generally a country that is an African country, to be honest. So that is the linear. That doesn't sound terrible when you first hear it, but the rate and the pace that the traditional fast fashion companies are producing garments, like every season, every time you walk in the store, it's something new, right? This is why we love to go shopping, is because every time we go shopping, there's something new to look at. It's like, and you get that tingly feeling like, ooh, let's see what's in the store today. And the pace that we're going is something that our planet actually cannot maintain, because, and no one knows this, but some people know this, but it takes approximately 713 gallons of water just to produce one t-shirt.
That's a lot.
That's enough for a 6-person club for one t-shirt. And people ask, well, why does it take so much water, though? You have to go packing. You have to, run the machines. You have to, there are a lot of things involved in the process, and that's just the tip of the iceberg as far as the environmental part. So, we just don't know this. You want to go shopping and you want to enjoy what you buy, and we work very hard to make the money that we make to go shopping and enjoy ourselves, but
we just don't understand the sacrifices that are going on in the environment and then also in the communities in a lot of the countries where the garments are being made.
And so, long story longer, that is what we think of when we describe a linear process, linear fashion, as opposed to circular fashion. So circular fashion is when you go through that process, and let's say the process stops at, okay, so your clothes end up at a retail shop down the street or a thrift store down the street. It is us as women, as a society of consumers, going to the thrift shops and buying clothes that are already produced. They have already been created. There's no need for additional resources to be used, no need for additional water to be used in the creation of those clothing items. And so what you're doing is, instead of having it go in a linear fashion, you're stopping it at the pass and kind of keeping it back in the economy to be sold and worn. And there are so many people out there who are vintage lovers. They love that vintage Gucci or that vintage product, or whatever is your flavor.
Or if you're a creative like me, I used to buy like thrift store leather to make purses or jewelry out of, just to upcycle or recycle the pieces. So I could
well,
put
talking
back
about
into
thrift store, I mean, 1980 called and they want their dress back.
It's cute.
It's super cute.
It's like the only silk garment left in the world.
It's super cute. There is such a market. The people who are vintage resellers and vintage lovers, they love their vintage for a lot of good reasons. But that's it exactly. So keeping the items that are already here, already produced, already made, keeping them in the economy and keeping them going. So our grandkids and our great-great-grandkids will wear them, or we are wearing, we're going through grandma's closet like, ooh, let's see, grandma, what you got in here? And, kind of looking around like, hey, because as we know, style comes back. Or I think nowadays people are just getting super creative with their own styles, and so you can create whatever style it is you want to create and be on point every time. So yes, that is the circularity.
I saw a quote that saying like fashion is for people to follow, but style is your own individual expression.
Absolutely.
So I love that. I heard that. I saw it on a bag actually. So.
Yeah.
On a shopping bag?
Yeah.
Shocker.
That was recycled, of course.
Hello.
So,
Yeah.
So how do women now play a role in the linear circular part? What part of this cog of the wheel like grabbed your heart?
Yeah. So the thing that we don't understand, number one, as people who live in the 2000s, also people who live not just in the United States, but because we live in the U.S., some things are sheltered from us that we don't understand and we don't know. And part of that is, okay, well, hold up. Who makes these clothes? Like, who's the person sewing this t-shirt? Who's the person sewing this jacket? Who is the person who's making this? We, as Americans, find it hard to grasp the concept that, sweatshops or slave shops still exist. And in fact, they do. So it just so happens that the countries who are making our clothes and look in your closet, look at your clothes, see what the tag says. Is it from Bangladesh? Is it from, see what country it's from. They don't have, they're not afforded the laws and the structures that are in place to protect them as employees. So even though one major fast fashion company may say, well, we work with this company in India and they make our clothes, they provide the clothes for us, and however they treat their employees, that has nothing to do with us.
Right, because they're like a third party.
Right. And so it doesn't matter if they're getting paid 14 cents an hour or $30 a week, and they have small children who are literally laying beneath them as they're sewing our clothes, because they are still charging a per piece salary. So you could work a 10-hour day, 12-hour day, 14-hour day, but you're only getting paid a penny, 2 cents per piece. So it's like, where does it end? If you, even to go to the bathroom, you don't want to take the time to do that because now you're away. And that means that you've missed out on maybe sewing one piece or sewing two pieces or whatever. And a lot of times these are women of color, people of color, and it is so difficult sometimes for us as being living here to think that, wow, those working conditions exist. We thought they existed, hundreds of years ago. Not today, not in this year that we live in. These conditions, not only do they exist, they are popular. I hate to say that word. They are common. They are common in other countries who don't have anything in place. And that we are advocating for paying people, securing them, giving them benefits, giving them an opportunity to get up from their desk, go from their sewing machine, go to use the restroom. Yeah, just take care of yourselves. We have experienced here in this area of our lives, the pandemic, what really is important. Like, okay, to hell with, going to work and busting your butt and grinding all day at something that you don't enjoy doing. Imagine if you didn't have a choice, like you needed to do that and your child is sick or your mom is sick. You don't have a choice. You must do the thing. And you can't just say, oh, I'm going to quit my job and do something else. No, that option does not exist for the women who sew our clothes, the men who sew our clothes. But that is a lot of information.
So I'm curious, so historically, maybe not historically, let me ask this way. So with the advocacy programs that you're working with, do they have lobbyists in these different countries? Or, well, not everybody's a democratic society or whatever, but are there people in the political system that are advocating in those countries with the groups that you're associated with?
I mean, there are some people, and as far as government-wise, we advocate for the fast fashion brands here in the United States who have partnerships in Madrid or in, whichever companies are being outsourced. But it's like, once you cross the borders, it's untouchable almost. So we have to sort of do what we can here on this land to kind of get the word out. And also, no, it's not our fault as consumers, because I used to shop till I dropped. We used to, shop and what's new in the store this week, and oh, the store closes at 10. Ma'am, the store is closing at 10. Okay, I'll be right there. I had that practice myself, and I think I didn't know. I didn't know what was behind it. I didn't know that me constantly buying like these fast fashion pieces was harmful or doing any harm to anyone or any piece of the environment. But now that you have the ability to switch some things up. I think the problem is, let's look even above that and beyond that to say that how about we start looking at the data, and we're talking about clothes here. We're talking about clothes. We're not talking about food. We're not talking about shelter. We're not talking about water. We're talking about clothing. If we can step back and say, do we really need all of these fashion brands to be producing all of these new clothes 52 seasons, because that's what it is. I believe it's 52 seasons. We have 4 season years, right? Spring, summer, fall, winter. But 52 seasons is how many seasons clothing companies have. So it's like you have this huge number of clothing companies. You have this many seasons that they're constantly producing and constantly rotating. Maybe we can pull back a little bit and not produce as much clothing. You go into any big box store, if you so happen to buy clothing at a big box store, and you see the shelves and the racks that are just, you see the clothes that are all laid out there, and it's like, do we really need this many
I would agree with that.
options all over?
We're in excess. Yeah. It's just a life and an era of just excess. It's more than what we need. It's like going to a buffet. There's how much food do they throw out? Yeah, every day. It's like, how much food do they throw out at night? I mean, that could feed like many more countries and communities. We're just in the era of excess.
Yeah. And like, it's like dining at a buffet every single day of the week, 365 days a year. Like, how can we maintain that? It's not doable. Yeah, it's not sustainable. It's to like eat a buffet every single day, but that's what we have in clothes. We can go wherever we want, shop wherever we want, get whatever we want, because the options are there.
Yeah, and ultimately the consumer votes by what they purchase.
Absolutely. So, and this is not just to say, change your shopping habits. This is a broader conversation to fast fashion brands. And so as a person who used to shop that way and just simply not knowing, it's not a blame game. You don't know what you don't know. So once I started to find out that, you would go to the thrift store and you would see something that still had the original tags on it. I know this has happened to like everybody who has ever set foot in a thrift store and spent a little time there. You saw the original tag, like,
and the original price, you're like, shoot, I got for this much?
Exactly.
Put it in the cart.
You see that like Ann Taylor original tags or whatever it is, that you love, and you're like, what? And I would see that and I would be like, wow, this is actually such a shame. Like, someone thought of this idea, someone created this thing. And it's kind of like when you talk about as your business, down the road, who are you going to pass your business off to, right? Mm-hmm. So it's about that estate planning. So I think about it in such a grand scheme of, someone made this sweater, someone came up with this concept and designed it. And now here it is at the thrift shop down the street, still with the original tags. No one even wore it or loved it. And how many gallons of water did it take to make? And who actually made this thing? And that's how WearEmOutTees was born, is like, okay, wait, this is perfectly good condition. Let's swing this back around and see if we can, put it back into the economy, because this is a perfectly great piece. So yeah.
Tell us more about. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, definitely tell us more about WearEmOutTees. Tell us about, the message that you're rocking today.
Oh, yeah.
And, what kind of
shirt, girl?
what kind of messages are you relating, to the world through your brand?
Yeah, so WearEmOutTees, I just told a little bit about how that all came to be, but also when you're starting a business, as you know, you kind of want to get into something that you're good at, something that you're interested in, because you can find especially now, you can find whatever job you ever imagined to dream up, and you can do that. So I previously, high school days, junior high days, I worked at the mall. I worked at, the stores, and I really enjoyed being around clothing in general. But then as a later consumer, finding that, newest tags item in the thrift shop and just watching how that part of things works, it was like, wait, I could save this. This is perfectly good. This is a really great shirt. But of course, I can't absorb this. I cannot have a closet that has 20,000 t-shirts in it. That doesn't make sense. But I bet there are some people out there willing to, instead of going shopping for graphic tee at some fast fashion company, willing to find something completely unique and one of a kind, literally one of a kind, with me. So all of the t-shirts that are in our inventory are hand selected, hand sourced by me, yours truly. And I work with a designer who puts the illustrations on the front. So not only is every single t-shirt different, this is not a t-shirt company where it's just like, let me order 50,000 white t-shirts in size large and they're all going to be uniformly made. There are V-necks, there are crew necks, there are, every shirt is different because they're acquired individually. And then I have graphics laid on them, working with a local printer, I have graphics laid on them so that even though you may have the similar graphic, and I should have done this when I did this, but even though you may have a similar graphic on it, the shirt you have is actually different than any other shirt that we have. Yeah.
How does your company help women in the other parts of the world? Like, meaning, does part of your overall long-term vision include women in other parts of the world to help them, like employ them, basically?
Oh, well, I mean, I would love to be able to expand the business out into being able to employ other, not just women, but employ other women around the world. And even more than that, I kind of want to disrupt the major fashion brands, at least in the graphic tee area. I want to disrupt the major fashion brands. So I would like to help divert those funds that you might have used at your store down the street, getting the graphic tee, and bring those funds towards WearEmOutTees. So it's more about diverting the funds, like, that's mine now, bring it over here.
So if we have any visionaries out there that would like to partner for a very good cause, then definitely reach out to this one right here. We're calling out for a reason, a cause that is significant, that is meaningful, and that is changing and protecting lives.
So our ideal here is that meaning Americans, our concept is, well, at least they have a job. Like they could be not working and not making 10 cents an hour. But we also know as Americans, it's supply and demand. So if we as consumers are no longer demanding that product or no longer demanding better for the people who make our clothes, companies are not going to shut down. They're not going to shut down. What they are going to do is they're going to now be handcuffed to say, we're either going to lose this account if we don't, if we don't change our ways. Like, we have no one to sew our clothes. So what are we going to do if everyone walked out, or if everyone stopped shopping, or if, they lost the business account? Businesses are not about that life. They do whatever they can to hold on to those accounts. And that's part of the problem, is that, every dollar is squeezed out, and we want to buy a $5 t-shirt, we want to buy a $3 t-shirt that's on clearance, and it's like, okay, that was someone's life. Like, that was someone spent all week or all day or whatever putting that shirt together. And if those jobs are just taken away, businesses are going to have to pivot. And I can say that from working in this economy, and also being an entrepreneur and being in a business, you don't want to lose your accounts. If there's someone, you know, like I said, if they're demanding like, okay, unless we pay these people the right, you know, a better wage, or we change our ways, we're literally not going to have anyone to make our clothes. That means if we have no clothes that are being made, there are no clothes that we can sell. And if there's no clothes that we can sell, there's like, okay, wait, now we can't eat. And so now, wait, that's a problem. So it's bigger than just, you know, like, well, we say have a job making 12 cents an hour.
I think that's where it's important, where it's like, okay, if you're, you know, if you're thinking more along, like, if you're thinking more of a 360 linear type of thing, like a circle linear type thing, that's why, you know, I know with some businesses, you're like, hey, we understand that we're going to wipe out your livelihood, but here's the solution to how we could keep you, like, they absorb them basically in their company type of thing. Otherwise, you know, they're susceptible to, women, you know, sex, you know, trafficking and the like.
For sure. And when you are the customer, or when you are the business, let's say I work for, I don't know, H&M. We'll just pick H&M. Why not? They're as good as any other as far as this conversation goes. But let's say I run H&M and I want to partner with this company in Bangladesh, and I want all of our jean jackets to come from this factory because their price is the cheapest for us to consume, for us to acquire and to sell into North America. Well, you know why their price is the cheapest? Is because they're not paying the people who make their clothes. So if I, as the owner of H&M, take a shift and say, you know what, it just dawned on me, if your prices are the cheapest, does that mean that the people who are making your clothes are suffering? Because if that's the case, I don't think that's the kind of business we want to do.
Yeah, I think then it goes down to like business and ethics, you know what I mean? Then you go down another rabbit trail of business and ethics, because at the end of the day, you know, because there is the other side of the fork. Hey, it's about the margins, and the greater the margins, it's more of a cushion to be able to pay your employees on this side of the water. You know what I mean? So it's like, now if the policies here in the United States is, hey, you know, let's say minimum wage is now up $15 an hour, well then it's left to the business owner to have to cover those costs. So therefore they're going to have to cut the labor, you know, and then overwork the current, you know what I mean, what little they have to operate, so they could have an operating cost just to stay afloat to service the people they intended to do it in the first place. Now, if it doesn't make financial sense, they're going to have to shut the business down.
Right.
So it does, like, the other side of the fork is, hey, you know, how ethical do I be? You know, I either help them across the ocean, or do I help my people here that's more immediate to me? So it's kind of like a rock in the hard place if you see that, if you're trying to solve a particular, if you see a particular opportunity to make a margin.
Right. And here's where the other part of that comes in. If you are trying to make your sales goals or make your whatever, that's where the earlier part of the conversation is. Step back. Do we need this many? Do we need 14 million pieces of
And I think that's where personal like decisions are made, because I think that's where we can't, you know, like, robot people, you know what I mean? Like, not that I'm not suggesting that you are. I'm not suggesting that you are. I'm just saying that is where we leave it up to the individual to decide or not. At least here in the States, we have that decision, and we're not, you know, the type of governmental system that we're in is not forcing us to, hey, you gotta go here and buy this, that.
Oh, for sure. But, and I think everyone can relate to this. If I buy junk food and snacks and I bring them home, I'm gonna eat them. If they're not in my kitchen, I can't eat them. So if one location does not have 14 million options, they only have 12, I'm going to pick one of those options. Like, okay, so I'm not going to get, you know, everything that I could imagine, but I am going to get some things that I really like, that fit well, or that, you know, whatever. Like, if the option is not there, you can't make that choice.
Right.
So as far as like the margins and everything, like, because there's also a lot of waste. So when you are running your business and you have your clothing, you see, okay, what sold here, what sold there, what didn't sell here. Okay, how much of that did not sell? Okay, chuck it in the landfill. Maybe we'll bring this much, you know, so maybe it's like.
So Camille, let's definitely lead our women here. So how can your company, WearEmOutTees, how can we empower women right now, especially as fashionistas, you know, with now a fresh new perspective on all the clothing that we have in our closets, that I'm pretty sure most of us are kicking our husbands out of the closet because we have so many beautiful items. How can you empower us now, right? In conclusion, to have a fresh new awareness with, and how is it that you want to empower us in the world with your message?
Well, I would definitely say, number one, there's no guilt. Feel no guilt, because we did not know. And we didn't know before this. So there's no shaming, there's no guilt. you have the amazing, if you have one of those rotating closets that we all dreamed of, like,
Oh,
keep your clothes, like, wear them. And
Like,
that
do you
was,
have like a combination safe
Yeah.
to get into your
like
closet?
Clueless.
Yes.
Like Clueless.
yes.
It's like a dry cleaning rotating.
Yes. If you have one of those closets, or you
There you
only,
go.
you dream of having one, totally fine. Wear your clothes, wear them, give them the honor that they deserve, and wear them. Take care of them, mend them, wear them, and really love them. And I hope and encourage the women who are watching this and who are out there shopping. Maybe not, take a look at the business practices. That sounds really deep and you just don't want to, but maybe learn about one company. Like, is this ethical? Do they pay their people or not? That takes a quick online search. But really love what you have already. Number one, wear them out, which is where the name came from for the business. And I encourage you to swap. You can do a swapping event with your girlfriends and be like, girl,
idea.
I love this dress, but it does not fit me anymore, but it's still in good condition. I'll wear it twice, and have a swapping event. Get your, beverages of choice, have a swapping event. Visit some thrift shops and some resale shops and check those things out. But just, there's no hate for anybody who has a closet full of clothes. Like, man, that means you have a huge inventory that you can really have
That's
a fresh
fun.
look at your
fun.
stuff.
Do you accept people, like, if people wanted to mail their stuff to you, like the graphic tees, would you do anything with that? Like, is there a part of your business model that accepts people's old t-shirts?
So there isn't, but I do have some connections within the business of individuals who do take already printed, graphic tees or band tees or whatever. And if someone were to ask me about them, I would shepherd them in that direction. But yeah, for all intents and purposes, if you are in the market to shop for a graphic tee or you just want to support the business, swing by any of our social media. Otherwise, WearEmOutTees.com. I'm always looking to get some new, fresh items on there, and I really want to amp up the business this year.
Very
Pump up the volume, pump up the volume.
And before we go, guys, are there anything new that you want to highlight as far as tee-wise? Is there a design that you want to highlight right now?
I would say, well, we're going to take a swing. I will say that once the graphics are printed, they're gone in a vault, and so we won't replay those. And so everything that will be coming fresh and new is going to be exciting, and we are going to change. I mean, this was one of the first. It is a heart, and it has doves in the middle. It says peace, beauty, love. I think we could all use a little bit more of that in the world. But yeah, if you want to know what's coming up next, WearEmOutTees.com. Sign up for the newsletter. You're all good.
Awesome.
All right. Well, you can catch this episode as well as all of the other past episodes at www.trustedresultsrealty.co and go to our vlog page and go to our Empower Her Facebook page where you can catch Miss Camille Lee and all of her contact information and as well as our YouTube channel. So thank you so much for joining us.